All right. Welcome to the Killer Whale Ventures live stream. I'm your host, Dylan. And just so everybody knows, going into 2026, while we're trying to get this channel off the ground, we're going to be giving away our entire suite of industry-grade TradingView scripts. So if you would like access to any of the scripts that I'm talking about on our channel here, all you have to do is give us a like and subscribe and drop your TradingView username into our Discord support. You can find all of the information about this in the description below. So let's get started. Thank you for giving me some time to spend with family and, wish in the new year. It was absolutely amazing. I hope you all had a wonderful new year as well. Let's go ahead and talk about Bitcoin going into 2026 because there's a lot of really interesting things going on in the market. And as the thumbnail of this video describes, there's a lot of assets that are breaking out right now. And when I say breaking out, what I mean is low risk entries to try and take a shot at, a decent turnaround on these assets. So going into Bitcoin, just to reiterate where we've come from, our long-term Bitcoin accumulation algorithm has most recently been accumulating since the beginning of 2023. After the bear market of 2022, we started reaccumulating in January of 2023, and we have been in bullish control ever since. What do I mean by bullish control? Well, according to our long-term algorithm, this green cloud that you see here is our bullish control zone. The reason I have these moving averages on our chart at the moment is because this gives us a shorter time frame indication of what direction the market is actually going. While we are in bullish control, we have seen a downward period here where the moving averages, the 10 and the 20, so the 10 being this yellow line, is our fast moving average, has been pointing to the downside and has been below our 20. That typically results in bearish price action. Now, you can see this is the first time in the past 2 years that, well, really 3 years now, that we have bounced off of our bullish line in the sand. And I would like to point out that it's nice that we have bounced off of this and found some support. Cathie Wood, the CEO of ARK Invest, called the bottom being this bounce right here. And since then, we've seen a higher low and then a second higher low. And now we're starting to see our moving average start to curl to the upside. This is good indication that we could be finding some legs to make a little bit more moves higher at the moment. And we have had a nice consolidated period where from all-time high, Bitcoin did consolidate about 38% of its value. So all of this, very healthy, very normal, and bullish until proven otherwise. We are still in our long-term bullish control. So we'll be singing that tune unless we break below this $80,000 level. Let's go ahead and look at some bearish technical analysis just to give us an idea of what we've been looking at market-wide. So after we had this very small breakout to the upside of our descending structure and we hit target number 1, we took 50% of our trade off here and then quickly went down to our stop loss. Now you can see the risk to reward ratio is 1.27 to 1, so basically broke even on this play, maybe made a couple of bucks. What happened after that is we had this capitulation move, which then formed a bear pole bear flag. In this bear pole bear flag, we did see a breakout to the downside in which we achieved target number 1 of our bear pole bear flag. Now, mind you, I am not playing a short position on Bitcoin. I just am measuring the targets to see where we could potentially go down to. So you can see we found support on target number 1, which actually gave us a higher low from our most previous swing low and the low that went down to 80,000. So what we're looking at here is we've found support and we are starting to make moves higher, which is what I was hoping for and talking about in our previous shows. Also, what we did not want to do is come down and break below target number 3 here. If we broke below target number 3, that would put us back into full bearish control, and our next target would have been 66,000. So ultimately, we just kind of want to stay in this area that we've been in, continuing to make higher lows and eventually invalidating this bear pole bear flag. It's just nice to measure and see where we could go depending on the targets that have been measured. Ultimately, we don't want this move to come to completion if we want to stay bullish for the long term. Now, let's go ahead and move on to Ethereum, because Ethereum is looking very interesting on a technical standpoint. We have two things going on here on Ethereum. We have this larger descending broadening structure, and then we have this descending channel. Now, we had a breakout of the descending channel back on December 3rd, and we actually entered this trade on December 8th, back down over here. So very quickly after we entered the trade, we went up to target number 1, in which we took 50% of our trade off the table. So here, taking 50% of our trade off the table with a risk to reward of 2 to 1, no matter what happens on this technical analysis play, we're going to make money on this play. What we haven't seen is coming all the way back down to our stop loss, and what we have seen is continuous higher lows, which is giving us the conviction that we need to continue to stay in this play. And as long as Bitcoin continues to appreciate to the upside and stays in bullish control, Ethereum's really leading the charge on some of these breakouts that we're going to be talking about today. If anybody has any comments or wants me to look at any assets or indicators, just go ahead and drop that in the live chat in our YouTube here, and I'll make sure to address that as we go along. But what we're looking at here on Ethereum is we already took 50% of our trade off the table. Now we're looking to get up to target number 2 at that $36.27 level, and then target number 3 at that $3,900 level. Now, what this could do is it could be the catalyst to push us back up to 4,000 psychological, and then we could be squaring up some moves based upon this larger descending structure, but we just need to take it one day at a time. And currently, this is the technical outlook that we have. As you can see, a previous descending structure at the beginning of this year went and hit all 4 targets and then actually exceeded that to put in a new all-time high. So these descending type of patterns have a very forceful and very consistent way to be measured and way to use this as an outlook long term. So I am fully confident that if we stay bullish, we will be sizing up this larger structure at some point on Ethereum. Moving forward, let's go ahead and look at Binance Coin. Binance Coin has had an absolutely amazing run in the end of 2025, putting in a new all-time high at the end of about middle of October at 1,300. We've been playing and accumulating this asset since it was $5, so this thing has done very well in its lifetime. And what we're looking at right now, besides just continuous accumulation, I'll turn off our accumulation algorithm here. Again, if you would like access to any of these algos that I'm talking about, you can just drop your TradingView username into our Discord support, and I'll make sure you get all the access that you need. Binance Coin put in a very heavily downsloping descending wedge with, continued tightening of our trend lines here until we put in a picture perfect jump the creek retest breakout. So we had the jump the creek move, came back down for a retest. Okay, while we're just so we can do it live on stream here, I have several future strategies that I'm working on. So I'm going to put a little bit of a pause on this Binance play that's playing out right now, because I'd like to come over and talk about our gold algorithms. So I have been working on these things for quite some time, and now I'm about to release this strategy in with the rest of our TradingView strategies that you can have access to if you drop your username in our Discord support. So what we're looking at here, I have 4 different versions of this MGC bands strategy. Our 4th version of the strategy, which is our highest risk version of the strategy, just entered a new long trade when you heard that Martian gun sound, right? So what we're looking at here is, this is a trade that we can all take together on stream if they happen while I'm streaming. So right now, basically we came out and touched the band, and then we've popped out to the upside. So this has decided to take a trade, and what I can do here is I can actually log out on this one and then just go ahead and log in on this one. We'll go to our Apex, and then let's go to my 50K account that I have on this strategy. Okay, perfect. So you can see this strategy has been firing absolutely perfectly. The other one that I've been working on stream, our Algo Pro, which is another algo provider, has not been firing entirely accurately here. So I have been much more interested in my own versions of strategies that do fire accurately every time. And as you can see, this one fired absolutely perfectly at the close of this candle, beginning of this candle. This is on the 1 minute chart, so every single candle you're looking at is going to be based off of 1 minute. And if I go to the strategy report, this strategy also martingales. I've been very interested in the martingale features for day trading specifically. What this strategy will do is if it loses, it will martingale a second time. So it'll go from 1 contract to 2 contracts, 2 contracts to 4 contracts, 4 contracts to 8 contracts, so on and so forth, up to the max contract size if that's what needs to happen. Now, I haven't seen it do more than about 4 martingales so far. This strategy is an MA band strategy, and as we know on gold, MA bands are very accurate and they are pretty easy to read and follow. So basically how this works is we have our main band, this gray band in the middle here. That's going to be our entry or our measurement band. The 2 blue bands on the outside are our offset. So if we look at our script here, again, I'm going to be publishing these. I have 5 versions of this exact script, so I'm just kind of taking them down to being as, up to date as possible and making sure that everything works correctly before publishing them. But this script will be available completely for free while we're getting the stream off the ground. So if you'd like access to that, drop your TradingView username into our support, and I'll make sure you get the access that you need when this strategy gets published. So this strategy is entirely based off of moving averages. So you can see here I've built simple moving average, exponential moving average, volume weighted moving average, all the way down to like McGinley and super smooth moving averages. Just a bunch of different types of ways to interpret the price action. I've found the most luck on gold so far, but there's not to say that this won't work on a lot of different assets. So, it's brand new. I would absolutely love the community's help in finding community configurations so that we can all succeed together, right? But this one, basically what we're looking at here is we have our moving average type, and then we have our band offset. So here we have a offset of 0.07%, and that is what you're looking at is between the gray line on the outside, we have 0.07% to the upside, 0.07% to the downside. Now, as you can see, what we're looking at here, if I zoom in, this bottom blue line is now going to be our trailing stop loss, how I have this version of the strategy set up. So you can see it went from dark blue to light blue right here. That means our trailing stop loss is armed, and that is the level that it's sitting at. You can see the new candle just got printed, and it moved the trailing stop loss up. So if I go back into the strategy itself, what we're going to look at here together is all the different features and functionalities. You can use this to do long trades, short trades. You can have a risk to reward style of take profit. Right here we have a risk multiplier. So our risk is 0.6. Our reward is 0.9. So we're basically looking at a 0.6 to 0.9 risk to reward ratio. We have our session meter. So this thing starts our session at 6 p.m. and goes all the way until 4:45 the very next day. This will also close at the end of session. That's something that I've been really interested in the future space specifically. And closing at the end of session is very important because sometimes on prop firms like Apex, they will auto close you, but if you do that in a live account, you will get flagged for it. So close at the end of session is very important. We also have custom time zones, enable avoid start sub window, so it's not going to trade between 4:45 p.m. and 6:05 p.m. each day, and then it will enter this avoid window on whatever days we have set. We have our base contract size. We have our martingale features here where we can either multiply or add to our position if we have a losing position. We have our martingale value, so depending on how much you want to multiply by, you can choose that. And we have our max add contracts. So in this case, it could multiply by 2 up to 39 contracts because the account size I have this on is a 50K account on Apex, and the most contracts you can do is 40. So I have this set to 39, so we never exceed that rule. Now, as we're looking at this trailing stop loss has come above break even, so no matter what happens, this trade will finish with profit now, which is very cool. So we also have things like ATR based trailing stop loss, midline slope filter, which I have enabled right now, which is basically if it comes back below this midline, it's going to possibly make a decision to close. Then another important thing that I'm adding into this MA band strategy is our daily stop caps. So if there's a trade that's more than negative 2,000, it will stop for the day. And then also I have a daily gain of if it makes more than $10 in a trade, it's going to stop for the day. I've been having more luck in the prop accounts just by hitting a solid move for the day and calling it, right? So if we have a nice trade or a series of trades that results in more than $10 profit, we're going to stop trading for that day. We also have a win streak, loss streak meter. So if it hits 1 win, it's going to stop. If it hits 5 losses, it's going to stop. So you can see we're mitigating our risk by adding parameters within our script to basically just stop trading for the day, right? And that has been very, very important towards passing accounts. Now I've passed lots of accounts, and it's pretty much just smooth sailing for the most part. Happy to get everybody access to this. If you would like us to send the signal to you, we can talk about that as well. You just sign up through our KWIP, and we have the availability for you to access signals as well. There is a little bit of a setup process. It's not hard. You set up a Traders Post account so that you can process the signal, and then we will send it to your Traders Post account. You forward it to as many or whatever prop firms that you want, or cash accounts. Just knowing the risk is a good thing there. So you can see we have our trailing stop loss take profit, where I'm using the MA bands as our method, but you can also use standard deviation, ticks, or ATR. And then you can define, excuse me, you can define the lengths of each one, the distance, the standard deviation levels, so on and so forth. Excuse me, everybody. So then we have our partial take profits. So in this case, we have 2 take profit levels. And I can show you on previous trades, like the trade that we had on Friday, I believe. So what was this? This was actually Wednesday last week. So if I zoom in here, you can see that we have our take profit levels. So what happened here is we had 1 losing trade. So we martingale into 2 contracts. And then we have our take profit levels in addition to our trailing stop loss. So trailing stop loss is constantly trailing downward unless it hits our take profit levels, in which case you can see right here, it hit our take profit levels once and twice right at the bottom. So this was an absolutely spectacular move, and I think this ended up netting like $1,000 on the day or close to it with the trading fees. But if we go back over here, yeah, I just like to explain what's going on with the scripts and how they work, and I'm hoping to take a trade live on stream with people while we're on the stream, and just generally being cheerful and merry and progressing our knowledge together. And we are building the world's largest algorithmic trading community. So if you would like to be a part of that, we're going to be here Sunday through Friday doing our reviews at 6 p.m. The other reason I like to go live at 6 p.m. is that's when I do my daily reviews of all of the assets that we trade. And in addition to that, that's when the futures markets open. So for me, I do my main daily analysis around the 6 p.m. time, basically looking at what happened yesterday, what are we getting into tomorrow, and now we're trading futures. So my main trading time, I will tell you, is basically from like 6 p.m. to midnight. I like to trade the overnight sessions in futures. A lot of people like to trade New York session. Some people like to trade London session. It really just depends on what you're comfortable with, where you live, what time zone you're in. You know, we want trading to be as low stress as possible, which is not always the case. So I like to use tools, indicators, strategy, and mathematics to do the trading for me. I am not an adrenaline junkie like a lot of these guys that trade New York session and go smack, $10,000 trades out of the park. Yes, I would like to be able to do that, but mostly what I'm looking for is consistency and strategy. Very cool. So while this trade is progressing, I'm just going to go ahead and bounce back over to BNB, and we can talk about the play that we're in here. So BNB, on a technical standpoint, descending wedge, nice jump the creek breakout, retest. I saw this a little bit late, so I actually entered where this circle is. We just now came back above our entry level. So this trade is currently in profit. We're looking for target number 1 to take 50% of our trade off of the table, in which case we have a 1.38 to 1 risk to reward on target number 1. So if we hit target number 1, take 50% of our trade off the table, even if we come back down to our stop loss, we're still going to make some money on the play. Now, target number 2, we always move our stop loss to break even. So at which point, target number 2 will be well up at the 1150 range, and we'll be, smooth sailing, I would imagine. So all we need is Bitcoin to stay positive. This is a low risk, high reward play, right? 1.38 to 1 is our first target, 3.47 to 1, second target, and 5.4 to 1 is our third target. Let's go ahead and move on to XRP. Now, I would like to point out our XRP algorithm. All these blue triangles you see is our long-term accumulation algorithm, which has had 100% successful trades in its lifetime, 234 out of 234 trades successful, with a profit factor of 4,600. It's incredible. Total P&L in the lifetime of this trading algorithm is 439%, with a max equity drawdown of 26%. Now, let me go ahead and turn that off, and we're just going to talk about it on a technical standpoint. So, I have recently drawn in a secondary zone of confluence, which is this purple box here, and you can see it's acted as support 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and now 11 times going into this particular play. Now, let me just get us full screen, zoom in, and we'll talk about the breakout that is happening right now, because there are some very important things going on with XRP. XRP has been in this descending channel since about October 10th, when we had that large capitulation move that took us out at break even from our previous play. Now, we've been in this descending channel. We did find support once in this zone of confluence. We went below it, but it really acted as support again, because going into this breakout, we got our daily candle close above. Now, I have been entering these a bit faster than usual. This is another strategy I'm working on, MNQ MA bands. So again, using that MA bands. We'll talk about that in a second. But we had a daily candle close above. I have not been waiting for the retest to take my initial entries on these plays. For some reason, these descending channels, not only in crypto but stocks, have not been having the retest the same way that they have in the past. So for me, I'm taking my initial entry upon daily candle close above the descending trend line, as you can see right here. So we're in this play right now. This play has targets up to $2.23, $2.37, and $2.51. So we are well into this breakout. XRP did not waste any time. We're going straight to target number 1, it looks like. Now, I would like to zoom out, because this is only the beginning of a breakout for XRP. If we look at the larger structure, this descending broadening structure has been in the works since July of 2025. This is a very, very large 6-month going on 7th month structure. So what we need to determine here is this descending channel that we were in has its own targets. But as we come up to target number 1 and possibly break out of this level, we're going to be putting completely separate targets for this larger structure. And this larger structure, by the time we get to that point, you know, our measurement for our top target is going to be way down here. So just to put this in perspective of when this does come to fruition, which I believe it will at some point, right? Let's say we put our breakout point here. This is going to have a potential top target up around $4. So very, very cool that we can basically start seeing the very beginning of a potential breakout that could take us to $4 on XRP. We're at $2 right now, so that would literally be a 100% gain just by identifying a low risk entry and taking it. So what I've done is I've taken a bit of a larger chunk here, even though we haven't gotten the retest, even though this is a descending channel type of breakout, even though our top target is only $2.51, I've taken a much larger chunk here than I would on this play typically, just by speculating at some point we will probably be breaking out of this descending broadening structure with targets up to $4. Hope that all made sense. If not, just drop a comment in our chat here. I see somebody's dropped either a wallet address or something like that. So if you could put a ticker symbol, that would be much easier for me to look up. It also must be available to look at on TradingView. So unless it's available to look at on TradingView, not really sure. So go ahead and drop a ticker symbol in the chat, whoever's requesting that. Thank you. Anyway, just to finish up, XRP is poised for much higher prices. We have gone through a consolidated move of 50% plus on this asset. There's a lot going on here, and this is just the very, very beginning of a much larger play if the market decides to stay bullish. So again, targets on this descending structure could be all the way up to $4, new all-time highs, very exciting, but we have to see this first move play out as we expect it to. And, you know, this stuff is not difficult to understand. You know, it's pretty easy to see pattern recognition that this is a descending channel, right? We've been stuck in this same descending parallel channel for a period of time with highs on the top, lows on the bottom. Now we have done something different, right? So my purpose in life is to educate people on what you're looking for to make a low risk entry, right? This is one of those things we're looking for, is we've been in a specific pattern and now something has changed. Now other players in the space are looking at the same thing I am and saying we have a change in the directionality of this asset at a low risk play. So very cool. Let's go ahead and move on to Solana. Just descending channel breakouts all over the place, right? Solana has been firmly in bearish control. You can see our bearish control cloud here since September. So we've been in this bearish control zone, and also this descending channel has been forming since September. What has changed? Well, we've had some things that haven't changed. If I turn our algorithm off, what we can see that has not changed, as our purple box, our zone of confluence, has acted as support yet again over in this area. So the first time acting as support back in March of 2024. So we've seen support here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 times. Why would it not act as support, you know, on this 14th time if it's already acted as support 13 previous times in the last 2 years? So what we needed to see, and the reason I put these circles on here, is our potential breakout zones, because we were talking about this even like in this area, right? And I did move my targets down a little bit as the trend continued, but all I've done is, you know, we said, hey, we could possibly break out in this area, and that's exactly what's happening, right? We've just speculated into existence the fact that we know that these type of patterns typically break out to the upside. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at a low risk entry with a well-defined stop loss area for this technical analysis play. We've broken out. I have already entered this trade. Again, I'm not waiting for the retest on these things. If we do get a retest, I will make a secondary entry because it'll be lower risk and very close to my hard stop. But at the moment, I'm in this play with targets at 151, 183, and 223. Again, that's 151, 183, and 223. Now, I would like to show you what happened last time we had a breakout of a descending channel on Solana. So again, we had a descending channel. We found support down in this area. We identified a low risk entry. This one was actually a little bit higher risk because our initial target was only 0.68 to 1. So if we did come up and hit our initial target and then went back to stop loss, we would have lost money on this play, but that's just how it got measured out. Now, what happened was we never hit our stop loss, achieved all 3 targets, and it happened on the exact day of our trade planning. That is insane. But all I've done is taken the information presented from this descending channel, measured out our targets and our timeline, and this one is a picture perfect example of what technical analysis can do. All we're doing is managing our risk as best as we possibly can by understanding the flow of where a low risk entry is. We now have a low risk entry, as I've been talking about. We've been speculating about it, but what's changed? Well, we have a significant change because we are no longer stuck within this descending channel. What we're doing now is we've broken to the upside of this descending channel, giving us a low risk entry for a 3 target play. I've put this play all the way out to June of 2026. So very, very cool. Very, very interesting. And I hope this move plays out like this one did, right? That would be amazing, you know, and it'd be totally predictable because that's the flow of things, you know. And if everything turns bearish, we have a low risk play where we've measured our hard stop losses, right? Worst comes to worst, we got our hard stop loss set. Best comes to best, we make a gain of 75% on this play, right? So very cool. Okay, let's go ahead and look at MGC. Yep, so as you can see, this trade just finished out. And what happened was we entered. We're using this bottom MA band as our trailing stop loss. So you can see we ended up coming up and we came back down to our trailing stop loss here. So this was a successful trade. Not the biggest trade ever, but a successful trade nonetheless. And this account, yep, made about $100 on that trade. So pack it up. See you again tomorrow on this particular strategy, right? Our other 3 strategies have not made a trade yet. So you can see strategy number 3 is waiting. It made 2 successful trades on Friday last week, successful trade on Thursday, which was really awesome. So yeah, this one will trade at some point. This one I've been noticing trades typically more around like 9 p.m. to midnight, something like that. Our secondary, you know, our number 2 strategy had 1 successful trade on Friday, 1 successful trade on Thursday, 1 successful trade on Wednesday. So we will see a trade with this guy at some point, just isn't happening right now. And then the very first version of this strategy, which will make a trade if it touches this trend line and comes out to the other side, or it comes out to the upside, or if it touches this bottom trend line and comes out to the bottom. So this one is very specific. If it touches the line and then moves on the upside or the downside, that's when it's going to trade. Okay. So cool stuff. Let's go ahead and finish up our analysis on the crypto stuff, Tron, and then I'm going to move really quickly through the Mag 7, and that's probably going to be it for the day, you guys. I'm trying to keep these streams like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. That's what people have been requesting. Just get the information out there, no fluff, okay? So let's go ahead and, well, first off, I would like to say this algorithm has had 100% successful trades 431 out of 431 trades successful with a profit factor of over 6,000. That's crazy. This algorithm has made a gain of 1,200% in its lifetime and has had a max equity drawdown. It says 116%, but this thing started with 100,000. So, yeah, that's that. But yeah, overall, long-term accumulation algorithm on TRX, absolutely fantastic. It has made numerous selling activities in 2024, but we haven't seen any of that through 2025. Now we're moving into 2026. Let's go ahead and start this thing. Let's go ahead and start talking about our play that is happening right now. So TRX, also in a descending channel. It had some differences though. We had a double bottom, which was a very good indication that we were going to be turning around. That's exactly what happened. We put in a higher low, and since then we've been experiencing like a mini breakout up to this top trend line. But what happened yesterday on the daily close? We closed above the trend line. What does that mean? That means we have identified a low risk entry point. So I have entered this trade on TRX with a stop loss down at the 28-cent level. Target number 1 being at 31 cents. Target number 2 being at 34 cents. And target number 3 being at 35.4 cents. So overall, right at the entry point here, what has changed? This isn't really a strong convincing break, but what has convinced me that this is the area that we're going to break is all of the other assets that are currently showing the exact same thing, right? Descending channel breakouts across the board. So TRX, very excited for this play. Also TRX as an asset, this thing has never been in bearish control according to our long-term accumulation algorithms. Since its existence in 2017, it has never once gone into bearish control. It is one of my top assets and one of my favorites to hold and accumulate. It's done absolutely incredible. So TRX, if you'd like access to this, again, just drop your username into our our Discord support. TradingView username into our Discord support. Gold had a rough week last week. It's to be expected, honestly, because gold had such an amazing run, such an amazing initial breakout. Let me turn the algo off. Actually, our gold algorithm, too, has had 100% successful trades with 947 out of 947 and a profit factor of 3,800. If you would like access to this, you know the drill. So let me go ahead and turn the algo off. We'll talk about it technically, and then we will move on to the Mag 7. So technically what's going on here, I had a member point out that we could have taken it at this point. Yes, that wasn't my particular move. I decided to take it off of this trend line once I saw this recent high. So I ended up entering at that 42.50 level, and then we went very, very quickly. This is the 12-hour chart, so just a matter of a few days, not even a week, we went to target number 1. And again, what happens at target number 1? We take 50% of our trade off the table. So no matter what, we're going to make money on this play, because even if it comes back down to stop loss, we have a risk to reward of 2.35 to 1. So we've already made our money on this play. These next 3 targets are just bonus targets, right? The main target in any of these TA style plays that I will be pointing out on the channel is 50% off at target number 1. Everything after that is just a bonus, and that's what we want to see, but ultimately our risk is measured off of target number 1. So we did get that huge rejection, over 6 or 7 or 10% to the downside. Let's see here. Yeah, 6% to the downside. So yeah, massive rejection. It wasn't uncommon or unexpected. We moved right back just into this general area above where our initial breakout was. So I'm just expecting a higher low and continued movement to the upside. Gold is not losing style. It's not going out of style anytime soon. So yeah, buying, holding, accumulating, and playing these technical analysis plays has been absolutely wonderful the last couple of years. And you could just see that because of the nature of this algorithm, it will only really sell above where an entry was, or that's what it's done at least the last 10 years, 5 to you know, however long this algorithm's been running. Let's see, since August of 2020, right? So just the nature of this thing is awesome, and I love this algorithm so much. It's probably one of my favorites out of all of them. Okay, cool. PAXG, good to go. Let's go ahead and move over to the Mag 7. Google has been in this ascending channel. We got targets to the downside. Nothing's really happened. The rest of the market dumped at the end of the year. This thing has just been holding firm in its channel. I'm expecting a downside move at some point. We got targets at 274, 248, and 219 to the downside. I would expect to even come all the way down to this 219 level, because that would make sense to, you know, put in a higher low above our previous all-time highs. So overall, just kind of waiting to see what happens on Google. We'll see if I make a play on it or not, or if we just watch what's going on here. Tesla, well, I am a little concerned with Tesla. I mean, it is the altcoin S-coin of the Mag 7, in which it does crazy volatile things all the time. But right now, we've had this previous play that we've been playing since August 2025. That was a breakout of this descending channel here. So we've been playing this 3-target move for basically all of the rest of 2025. Then we identified that there was this small descending broadening structure. I typically like to see these things much more developed. And what I was talking about when I first started our stream a couple weeks ago, a month ago, whatever it was, is I was hoping that we would come and go back and test this line before making a descending broadening breakout, but that didn't happen. So we entered this play up here. It's just been one of those Tesla messes, right? Where we entered a little above where I actually wanted to. We didn't get to target number 1. Then we came back down to stop loss. And mind you, I am not actually using a stop loss on this technical analysis play, because it's the Mag 7 and I'm okay with holding Tesla. I think Tesla is going to do amazing things in the future, and I have no reason to doubt that that's the case. So I'm not using a stop loss on this. Maybe it'll bite me on this play, but whatever, right? My main concern is this third target right here. If we achieve target 1 and 2 on this one, we will also achieve target 3 on the previous play. With a top target I have measured at 598. But overall, this play has been invalidated technically, because we saw a false breakout and a rejection that took us to stop loss. Do what you will with that, but I'm going to remain in this position just because I accumulate Tesla. Meta platforms. So this is invalid. These targets are invalid. So let's just kind of erase those from our mind. I just left it here so that we can literally erase them together on stream. So we had this really ugly cup and handle looking thing, and which I was like, it could be enough for me to take a play on it if we break out to the upside. That clearly did not happen. We floated outside of the handle and got rejected to the downside. So this is going to be completely invalidated, no longer possible. But what is possible is this larger descending structure. So at some point when this descending structure fills out and we begin to break out to the upside somewhere over here, which could be March next year, February next year, at some point it'll come back and we'll test this descending trend line. At that point, I'll be looking to take a play on it. And depending on how wide the structure is at the time, we could have targets like way up above new all-time high, right? Or old all-time high, rather. So, Meta looks terrible. We're not even going to touch that for a little while until, besides our normal accumulation efforts, until we see some sort of move against this descending trend line. Amazon rejected at the end of the year, last year. So we got this descending breakout. We saw a daily candle close above. We've entered this as a technical analysis style of play. My partner mentioned that there could be this inverse head and shoulders kind of thing going on. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But at the moment, we're in and we're about at even here, right? So we entered. We never made it to target 1. Still about at break even. Again, I'm not really going to use this stop loss. I might even, like, just for kicks, put it down a little further here. Just because that would actually make sense with the most recent swing lows that we saw. All right, very good, very good. So that being said, yeah, Amazon, we're in a nice play right now. We're back at our break-even level. Got target number 1 at, what is it? 240, target 2 at 249, target 3 at 260, and target 4 at 273. If we do get to this target 3 and 4 level, we'll be putting in new all-time highs. So what do stocks like to do? They like to go up. I'm expecting this to play out, at least to target number 1. That would make me happy. If I hit target number 1, I got a risk to reward of 2.2 to 1. So we get to target 1. Even if we get rejected all the way to our stop loss level, I'd be happy with that, taking 50% of my trade off the table here. If not, again, it's part of the Mag 7. I accumulate this. Amazon could get hit pretty hard, and I would still hold on to it. But to each their own, stop loss being at 220 at the moment. Apple broke out of an ascending channel. So let's just rewind a little bit. Descending, broadening formation, breakout, absolutely immaculate. Hit all 3 targets, formed a ascending channel. We broke to the downside of the ascending channel. Not surprising because of the type of move this was. Hit new all-time highs, need to consolidate. I am not expecting this to go back all the way to the 225 level necessarily. I think we would have much more conviction to turn around at this 250 level here, which would be previous all-time high levels. So for me, this is more of just watching and seeing what happens, but I do have some short shares on Apple based upon this move. Again, if I hit target number 1 on that, I will be more than happy with a risk to reward of 1.9 to 1. So I am playing this to the short side with short shares, and if I hit target number 1, I will be more than happy to take the 50% off the table and go back to stop loss. But we do have our other targets measured just in case. All right, very good. Let's go ahead and move on to Microsoft. Rejection. Oh, that was tough. That was a rough one right there. Anyway, we're in this descending channel. We broke out. I've entered this trade. I'm in this trade as a technical analysis play. Let me turn our algo off here and just look at it on a purely technical standpoint. Descending channel, breakout. We entered this move. Now we're back below our break even. So we haven't achieved target number 1. We got our stop loss. Again, this is the Mag 7, so this is just for show for me for the most part. But if you want to set a hard stop, totally fine. That would be around that 467 level. You could absolutely enter this play right now because it's super low risk. You're very, very close to your stop loss. So even if we turn around here, yeah, there's a lot of gain to be had going up to these targets. Will that happen? I guess we're just going to have to see how we open up on Monday and go into this week and everything like that. But overall, we're still in a valid breakout, and we could come back down to test this line again, in which case, maybe we can measure our stop loss even a little further down because we know that typically there is a retest in these type of plays. So you could even measure the stop loss down to like this 463 area to give yourself a little more wiggle room. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at in Microsoft. NVIDIA, very, very nice descending channel breakout, daily candle close confirmation, entered this play, moving right up to target number 1. Target number 1 has a risk to reward 2.96 to 1. First target 196. Second target 214, third target 222. So very, very cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff. Yep, just looking to get to target number 1. This is NVIDIA, again, Mag 7, so I'm not going to use a stop loss, but it's nice to know where a stop loss could be. And I'm going to move this because we did just have a recent swing low around here. So you could even have your stop loss all the way down to, let's see here, about that 169.66 level. And that still would give a risk to reward on target number 1 of 1.84 to 1. So still a low risk, high reward trade setup. Do with that what you will. And then let's look at the S&P 500 here. So S&P 500 made a 0.43% gain in the month of December. Okay, that's cool. Well, our stock portfolio that we used a high momentum growth screener for, which all that'll be coming soon, but our high momentum growth screener, which we're going to be talking about in future iterations of the platform and, all kinds of different things. But our stock screener has beat the market by 8% in October. November beat it by 5%. And then this month beat it by a whopping 4%. So, S&P 500, what we've done is taken specific stocks out and utilize those in our portfolio instead of just using an index like the S&P 500. Now, what's cool about the S&P 500 at the moment is we had this descending broadening formation breakout. We're in a technical analysis play here. We've already hit target number 1. We went right up to it, scooched past it, came right back. So we've taken 50% of this trade off the table. Risk to reward 1.7 to 1. So even if the market turns bearish and we continue to the downside, we're going to make money on this play, right? Now, again, it's S&P 500, so do with the stop loss what you will, but this technical analysis move, breakout, retest, rocket ship, very, very predictable if you know what you're looking for, right? These descending broadening formations, a lot of patterns might play out 60 to 70% of the time. These things play out like 80+% of the time. These are my absolute favorite pattern to do technical analysis plays with, and they've been happening all over the place, right? So if you have an asset that you want me to analyze, if you have an indicator or a strategy on TradingView you want me to analyze, just go ahead and drop that into our chat or our support or our Discord channel or wherever, right? And we will go ahead and get some of that stuff reviewed for you guys. But that's it for the show for today. We accomplished a successful trade live on stream. We covered the breakouts that are beginning from XRP, TRX, Solana, Ethereum, Binance Coin, gold. Bitcoin seems to be turning around. So everything's good. This show is sponsored by Killer Whale Ventures. You can go find all the information for our intelligence platform at killerwhaleventures.com. We are running a discount code right now. Start 25 will get you 25% off of your first month. So go ahead and check that out if you are so inclined. All the information of how to get access to our TradingView scripts is in the description below. Thank you very much. Welcome to 2026.